Hi, so we wrapped up earlier today the Board of Supervisors meeting for Tuesday, July 1st, and I wanted to give you a brief recap on some of the key decisions and discussions. There were a couple of items that we put on the agenda today. First was about conducting environmental impact reviews as part of economic development projects. This was an item that kind of came out of the whole discussions around Project Blue, where in that we received a lot of information around the economic benefits, the number of jobs, the investment numbers, and so on. But what we did not receive was information around the environmental impacts of the proposal for Project Blue. So what was on the table today, and that was supported by my colleagues, was an item that instructed or requested Pima County staff, our administrator, to give us a draft of a policy that would require environmental impact reviews for economic development projects moving forward. The policy is going to be on the table for or it'll be on the agenda for the September 2nd board meeting. And basically it's just saying that as we learn about and hear about the impacts on jobs and the economy, we also want to hear about the impacts of these proposed projects on our land, air, water, climate. And also environmental justice and the degree to which these proposals might be disproportionately impacting some communities over other communities. So that was passed 3-1 today, and so it'll be back up in the form of a concrete policy at the September 2nd meeting. We also approved, kind of similarly, directing the Pima County Administrator and staff to develop a policy around the use of non-disclosure agreements as it relates to economic development projects. Again, this came out of our discussions around Project Blue, in which we did not receive sufficient information to be able to make meaningful decisions, right, as policymakers, to really understand the implications of the decision, right? I was voted against Project Blue because of so many concerns around the use of water and energy. And so moving forward, what I would like us to do is, as we would be, I've kind of described it as using NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, as tools that are much more like a scalpel as opposed to a wrecking ball, right? The information that is withheld or protected needs to be precise and limited. And in some cases it shouldn't be, it may not should not be protected and hidden from us at all. We have a responsibility to be able to make informed decisions and understand the complexities of what's on the table. So all that is to say, the board approved kind of pitching this idea over to the Pima County Administrator, and she and her team and the Pima County Attorney's Office and others will come back to us at the September 2nd meeting with an outline of a policy about the ongoing use of non-disclosure agreements. We also had a big discussion today about about renewing the contract for the Chamber of Southern Arizona and providing economic development support services for Pima County. I made a motion to decrease the contract amount from $550,000 down to $300,000, and to reinvest that difference, the difference of the $250,000, in Pima County's own economic development department. Ultimately, the vote was a tie, which means that it will appear again at our next meeting agenda on July 15th. I made that motion, right, to decrease our support for a few different reasons. But a lot of it is that the county has worked really hard to create a vision that integrates the Prosperity Initiative, right? Combating poverty and building wealth across our community. Pima prospers and how we both protect and utilize our land for the next 20 odd years. Our climate action plan and our Sonoran Desert Conservation Plan. Right? We have a vision that understands the complexity of the pressures, the values, the needs in our community. And while bringing in new industry, right, which brings in jobs and expands our tax base, is incredibly important. It is also important that we take a balanced approach that supports the vision that we have. It is the beauty and the complexity of our region, the Sonoran Desert, and the communities and our rich history here. That's our strongest asset. And so I wanted to make sure that our own Pima County Economic Development Department, that is part of that vision and the county's vision and the complexity of that vision, is amply supported. And so, that's large part why I was recommending that we cut the contract amount and push some more of that over to our own department. But that will be back up again in a couple of weeks on the agenda. We also approved today about $3.7 million, and we approved this on a 4-0 basis. $3.7 million for outside agencies, essentially nonprofit organizations, to provide a whole lot of critical services in our community. I want to thank the Outside Agency Advisory Committee. This is a group of volunteers who are appointed by the 5 Pima County districts to look at proposals that come in a variety of different categories and to make these recommendations that showed up on the agenda today. A few highlights of organizations that got funding that are in District 3. The Arivaca HR got support, almost $60,000 for food and clothing. The Community Food Bank got a grant for $76,000 for its rural resource centers and mobile distributions. The Valley Assistance Services got $15,000 of support for its older adult resource program. And the PPEP got about $18,000 for the Amato Food Bank, for the Amato Food Project. The Arizona Sonoran Desert Museum got around $45,000 for buffalo grass education and coordination. And Friends of Robles Ranch and the Robles Food Pantry got about almost $48,000 for My Friend's Closet. There were a lot of different organizations providing really critical services. So I am proud that we were able to do that, and so thankful for the work of so many incredible organizations that are committed to protecting our community, especially in these days of such incredible harm that we are experiencing and such incredible uncertainty and instability. We also approved a contract today for about $30,000 to go to Humane Borders for the work that they do in providing water stations out, a lot of which is out in District 3, out in the desert, and trying to save lives, particularly for the lives of migrants, of asylum seekers who have left their homelands, their countries, their friends, their family, their neighbors, the country that speaks their language, to come here and fleeing violence, looking for some safety and stability, and looking for a better quality of life. So I, again, was honored to be able to support Humane Borders in this request, and I'm also very thankful for the work that they do, as well as the other humanitarian aid organizations that seek to prevent death and protect life out in our desert. We approved a contract for the Ajo District Chamber of Commerce and for $48,000. The county is very supportive of economic development out in the farthest reach of the western region of Pima County. We extended a contract with the Flowing Wells Neighborhood Association and Community Coalition that provides for a lot of support in the Flowing Wells neighborhood area. And then lastly, we approved a contract that will be used at the Keno Sports Complex for increased security. And believe it or not, we are contracting with the A-Team. Didn't know that this is what they were doing since, you know, their 1980s TV show, but I am glad that we got them on our side, and they're going to be providing security out at Keno Sports Complex. So that was a quick summary. More to come, and please stay tuned. Come to Call the Audience or come to the board meeting as you can, and look forward to seeing you, and thanks for all your support.